She walked into that restaurant believing love could conquer anything, until he looked her in the eye and said the 5 words that shattered her world. "My family won't accept you." Naomi Carter thought the heartbreak was over when she deleted his number and drove away in the rain. But fate had other plans. Plans that would force her back into the one house where she was never supposed to be welcome. What she didn't know was that behind closed doors, his mother was about to make a decision that would either destroy them forever or force an entire family to face the ugliest parts of themselves. Between a forbidden kiss witnessed at exactly the wrong moment, a public humiliation at an anniversary dinner, and a firing that crossed every line, this isn't just a love story. This is a battle between grace and prejudice, between a woman's quiet dignity and a family's deepest fears. Subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from, because what happens next will restore your faith in second chances or break your heart trying. The morning sun turned the old community center into something golden. Naomi Carter pulled her car into the gravel lot and checked her clipboard one more time. Health inspections weren't glamorous, but they mattered. She'd learned that early in nursing school. The small things kept people safe. She grabbed her bag and stepped out. The building sat near the coast, close enough that she could smell salt in the air. Scaffolding wrapped around one side like a metal skeleton. Someone was renovating. Good. The place needed it. She walked toward the entrance, her sneakers crunching on loose stones. A man stood near the doorway, studying a set of blueprints spread across a folding table. He wore a grey Henley and jeans, both dusted with construction debris. His hair was light brown, a little too long, and he had the kind of focused expression people get when they're trying to solve a puzzle. He looked up as she approached. "Morning," he said. His voice was warm, easy. "Morning." Naomi held up her badge. "I'm here for the health inspection. Naomi Carter." His face brightened. "Ethan Walsh. I'm the architect on this project." He extended his hand. His grip was firm, but not aggressive. She liked that. "You picked a good day," she said, glancing at the cloudless sky. "No rain to slow you down?" "Finally." He rolled up the blueprints. "We've had 3 delays already. Weather, permits, a plumbing disaster I'm still trying to forget." She smiled. "Plumbing disasters are unforgettable. You speak from experience." "I'm a nurse. I've seen worse than backed-up pipes." He laughed. Actually laughed. Not the polite chuckle people give when they're trying to be nice. A real laugh. "Fair enough," he said. "Want me to walk you through? I can show you what we've done so far." "That'd be great." They walked inside together. The building smelled like fresh paint and sawdust. Workers moved around them, carrying tools and calling out measurements. Ethan guided her through each room, explaining the changes. He talked with his hands, gesturing at walls that would be knocked down and spaces that would open up. Naomi took notes, asked questions, checked off items on her list, but she also noticed other things, the way he listened when she spoke, how he stepped aside to let her go first through doorways, the small smile that appeared when their eyes met. She told herself to stay professional. She was here to work. Still, "This will be the new kitchen," Ethan said, leading her into a gutted space. "Commercial-grade everything. We're installing equipment that'll meet all the health codes, actually exceed them." Impressive. She walked the perimeter, examining outlets and ventilation. Most places just aim for the minimum. "I don't like minimums." He leaned against the doorframe, watching her work. "If you're going to do something, do it right." She glanced at him. "I like that philosophy." "Yeah?" "Yeah." The moment stretched. Neither of them looked away. Then one of the workers called Ethan's name. The spell broke. They finished the inspection. Everything checked out. Naomi signed the paperwork and handed him a copy. "You're all set," she said. "This is going to be a great space when it's done." "Thanks." He hesitated. "This might be forward, but there's a coffee shop 2 blocks from here. Best mochas on the coast. Would you want to grab one? My treat. You know, to celebrate passing inspection." Her heart did something stupid, a little flip. She should say no. She had other appointments, paperwork waiting back at the office. But his smile was genuine, and she was tired of always saying no. "Sure," she said, "1 coffee." The shop was small and cozy, local art on the walls, mismatched furniture, the kind of place that felt lived in. They sat by the window. Naomi wrapped her hands around her mug, letting the warmth seep into her palms. "So," Ethan said, "how does someone become a travel nurse? Long story or short version? Whichever you want to tell." She smiled. "I like moving around, seeing different places, meeting new people. Every assignment teaches me something. That sounds lonely sometimes. Sometimes it is." She took a sip of her mocha. He was right. It was the best she'd had. But it's also freeing. I don't have to stay anywhere I don't want to be. He nodded slowly. I get that. I grew up here. Never really left. Sometimes I wonder what it'd be like to just go. What stops you? Family, mostly. His expression shifted. Something guarded crept in. They have expectations. I'm the architect. The responsible one. Can't just disappear. Naomi heard what he didn't say. The weight in his voice. Expectations can be heavy, she said softly. Yeah. He met her eyes. They can. They talked for an hour, maybe more. Time felt slippery. He told her about projects he'd worked on, buildings he wanted to design. She told him about patients who'd changed her perspective, places she'd lived. It was easy, comfortable, too comfortable. When they finally stood to leave, Ethan walked her to her car. This was nice, he said. It was. Can I see you again? The question came out rushed, like he'd been holding it in. Maybe dinner? Tomorrow night? Naomi's stomach tightened. She'd been here before. The initial spark, the excitement, then the slow realization that she was always going to be different to someone's family, someone's friends. But Ethan seemed different, genuine. Maybe this time would be different. Okay, she said, tomorrow. His smile could have lit the whole parking lot. The restaurant was downtown, small and intimate, candles on every table, soft music playing. Naomi had spent too long picking her outfit. A navy dress that hit just above her knees. Simple but elegant. She'd twisted her braids into a low bun. She wanted to look nice. She wanted this to go well. Ethan was already there when she arrived. He stood when he saw her, and something in his expression made her feel beautiful. You look amazing, he said. Thanks. She slid into the seat across from him. This place is lovely. I hoped you'd like it. The waiter brought water and menus. They ordered. The conversation started easily. More stories, more laughter. But Naomi noticed something, a tension in Ethan's shoulders, the way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Everything okay? She asked. He set down his menu. Yeah, there's something I should probably tell you. Her stomach dropped. Here it comes. Okay, she said carefully. He took a breath. My family. They're traditional, conservative, Southern roots going back generations. He met her eyes. They have certain expectations about who I should be with. The air felt heavy. I see, Naomi said. I want to be honest with you. His voice was tight. Because I really like you, but my family, they wouldn't accept... He stopped, swallowed. They wouldn't accept a black woman. The words hung there, sharp and ugly. Naomi's chest tightened. She'd heard variations of this before, but it never stopped hurting. She set her napkin on the table. Her hands were steady. Her voice was steady. Thank you for being honest, she said quietly. Naomi, It's fine, she stood. Really, I appreciate you telling me now instead of wasting more of my time. Please, I didn't mean... I know what you meant. She picked up her purse. You're a good guy, Ethan. I can tell. But I'm not interested in being someone's secret, or their rebellion, or their eventual regret. That's not what this is. No? She looked at him. Really looked. Then what is it? He opened his mouth, closed it. He had no answer. That's what I thought. She turned to leave. Naomi, wait. But she was already walking away. Dignity intact. Head high. The drive home blurred. She barely remembered getting in her car. The rain started halfway through, light at first, then heavier. Drops hammered the windshield. She didn't cry. She wouldn't cry. Not over this. Not again. The apartment was dark when she got home. Her roommate Leah was working a night shift. Good. Naomi didn't want to talk about it yet. She changed into sweats, made chamomile tea, and curled up on the couch. Her phone buzzed. A text from Leah. How'd the date go? Naomi stared at the screen. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Tell you when you get home. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. That bad? Yeah. I'm sorry, babe. Ice cream in the freezer. The good kind. Naomi smiled despite everything. Leah always knew. Thanks. She set the phone down, looked at the rain streaking down the window. She thought about Ethan's face when he'd told her, the shame in his voice, the way he'd looked at her like he was asking for forgiveness before he'd even finished confessing. Part of her understood. Family pressure was real, expectations were heavy, but another part, the part that had been through this before, knew better. Love shouldn't require courage just to exist. Love shouldn't be something you apologize for before it even starts. She pulled out her phone one more time, found Ethan's contact, stared at it. Then she deleted it. Across town, Ethan sat in his car outside the restaurant. Rain pounded the roof. He'd watched Naomi leave, watched her walk away with her shoulders straight and her head high, and he'd just sat there, like a coward. His phone sat in his lap. He'd tried to call. She didn't answer. He'd started texting an apology. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it like that. You deserve better than—" He deleted it. What could he say? That he was sorry for telling the truth? Sorry that his family was bigoted? Sorry that he'd dragged her into this mess? He drove home in silence. The house was dark. His parents were asleep. He climbed the stairs to his childhood bedroom, the one he still used when he stayed over, fell onto the bed, fully clothed. His mind kept replaying the moment, the look on Naomi's face when he'd said those words. She'd been hurt. He saw it even though she'd hidden it well and he'd caused it. He thought about his mother, how she'd reacted when his brother Tom had dated someone she didn't approve of, the cold dinners, the pointed comments, the way she could make someone feel unwelcome without saying a single direct word. He thought about his father, quieter, but just as set in his ways. And he thought about himself, 32 years old and still worried about disappointing people who would never approve of anything unexpected. His phone buzzed. A text from Tom. How'd it go? Ethan stared at the message. His brother knew about the date. Ethan had mentioned it yesterday. Tom had made a joke about finally getting back out there. Didn't work out, Ethan typed back. Sorry, man. Her loss. Ethan almost laughed. If Tom only knew. He set the phone aside, closed his eyes. But all he could see was Naomi walking away in the rain. Monday morning arrived grey and cold. Naomi sat in her agency's office, waiting for her supervisor. The weekend had passed in a blur of Netflix, ice cream, and Leah's well-meaning pep talks. You dodged a bullet, Leah had said. Any man who can't stand up to his family isn't worth your time. Naomi knew she was right, but knowing didn't make it hurt less. Naomi, her supervisor Patricia, poked her head into the waiting room. Come on back. Patricia's office was small but organized, files stacked neatly, a coffee mug that said, World's okayest boss. I've got a new assignment for you, Patricia said, sliding a folder across the desk. Private care, post-surgery patient, needs daily check-ins for the next few weeks. Okay. Naomi opened the folder. What kind of surgery? Cardiac, triple bypass. He's recovering well, but the family wants professional oversight. Naomi scanned the paperwork. Standard vitals monitoring, medication management, basic wound care. Sounds straightforward, she said. It should be. The family's local, well-respected. Father's a retired judge. Patricia checked her notes. Patient's name is Henry Walsh. Naomi's pen froze. Walsh, she repeated. Yeah, Henry and Margaret Walsh. Nice couple. Big house near the coast. Patricia smiled. Their son's an architect. Helped renovate our clinic last year. The room tilted. No, it couldn't be. Their son, Naomi said slowly. What's his name? Ethan, I think. Patricia glanced at the file. Yeah, Ethan Walsh. The universe had a cruel sense of humor. Is there a problem? Patricia asked. Naomi's mind raced. She could refuse the assignment, say she had a conflict, ask for something else. But that would require explaining, and she didn't want to explain. No, she heard herself say. No problem. Great. Start tomorrow, 8 a.m. Patricia stood, signaling the end of the meeting. Address is in the file. Naomi walked out in a daze. Her phone rang before she reached her car. Leah. Hey, Naomi answered. Okay, don't freak out. What happened? Nothing bad. I saw that architect guy. At the grocery store. He looked rough, like he hasn't slept. Naomi unlocked her car. Why are you telling me this? Because he asked about you. She stopped. What? He recognized me from your Instagram. Asked how you were. If you were okay. Leah paused. He seemed genuinely worried, Naomi. Too late for that. I know, I'm just saying. Naomi got in the car, rested her forehead on the steering wheel. Leah? Yeah? I got assigned to his father's care. Silence. Then, are you kidding me? I wish I was. What are you going to do? My job. Naomi started the engine. I'm going to do my job. Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Naomi pulled up to the Walsh house and immediately understood what Patricia meant by big. The home was beautiful. Colonial style, white columns, manicured lawn, gardens that probably required a full-time staff, old Southern money. She grabbed her medical bag and walked to the front door, rang the bell, footsteps inside. The door opened. Ethan stood there. His eyes went wide. Naomi. Mr. Walsh. Her voice was professional, cool. I'm here for your father's 8 o'clock appointment. He looked like he'd been punched. We didn't know they were sending you. Well, they did. She adjusted her bag. May I come in? He stepped aside, speechless. The interior was as impressive as the exterior. Hardwood floors, antique furniture, family photos on every wall. An older man appeared at the top of the staircase, tall, silver-haired, wearing a cardigan despite the warm weather. Ah, his face lit up. You must be the nurse. Come in, come in. Henry Walsh descended the stairs carefully. Naomi's trained eye caught the slight hesitation in his gait, the hand gripping the railing. I'm Naomi Carter, she said warmly. How are you feeling today, Mr. Walsh? Please call me Henry. He shook her hand gently. And I'm feeling better every day, thanks to stubborn determination and my wife's cooking. That's wonderful to hear, she smiled. Why don't we get you settled in the living room? I'll take your vitals and we can talk about your recovery plan. Sounds perfect. Ethan hadn't moved from the doorway. Naomi didn't look at him. She was here for Henry. That was all that mattered. The morning passed smoothly. Henry was a model patient, cooperative, talkative, asking good questions. His vitals looked strong. The incision was healing well. You're doing great, Naomi told him, making notes in her chart. Keep taking your medications on schedule, no heavy lifting, and those walks you've been doing, keep them up. Will do. Henry leaned back in his chair. Tell me, Naomi, are you from around here? No, sir. I'm a travel nurse. I go where I'm needed. How wonderful. You must have so many stories. They talked for another 20 minutes. Henry asked about her background, her education, her experiences. He listened like her answers actually mattered. She found herself relaxing despite everything. Then a woman's voice came from the hallway. Henry, who are you talking to? Margaret Walsh appeared in the doorway. She was elegant, perfectly styled silver hair, pearls, a cream-colored cardigan set that probably cost more than Naomi's monthly rent. Her eyes landed on Naomi. Something flickered in her expression. Surprise, maybe, or something else. Margaret, this is Naomi, Henry said cheerfully. Our new nurse. Isn't she lovely? Hello. Margaret's smile was polite, practiced. Welcome to our home. Thank you, Mrs. Walsh. Naomi stood, extending her hand. Your husband is recovering beautifully. Margaret shook her hand briefly. That's good to hear. An awkward pause settled over the room. Well, Naomi said, gathering her things, I'll be back tomorrow morning, same time. Henry, remember what we discussed about your medication schedule? I'll remember. Henry stood to walk her out. Thank you, dear. Ethan materialized in the foyer. Of course he did. I'll walk you out, he said quietly. That's not necessary. Please. They stepped onto the porch. The door clicked shut behind them. Naomi, don't. She turned to face him. I'm here for your father, not you, not your family, just your father. Can we keep it that way? His jaw tightened. I never meant to hurt you. I know. Her voice softened despite herself. But you did. So let's just keep this professional. Okay, he nodded. Professional. She walked to her car, felt his eyes on her the whole way. This was going to be harder than she thought. The next few days fell into a rhythm. Naomi arrived at 8, took Henry's vitals, checked his medications, made sure he was following recovery protocols. They talked about books, about his career, about his garden. She liked Henry, genuinely liked him. Margaret was polite but distant. She'd bring tea, make small talk, but there was always a wall there, invisible but unmistakable. And Ethan was everywhere, working from home, he said, catching up on projects. But Naomi noticed how he always seemed to be nearby, in the hallway when she passed, in the kitchen when she got water for Henry, in the garden when she helped his father take his daily walk, watching, always watching. On Thursday morning she found a note in her medical bag. I'm sorry. E. She stared at it, then crumpled it and threw it away. But that evening, another note appeared, this time tucked under her windshield wiper. I know I hurt you, I hate myself for it. She kept that one. She didn't know why. Friday brought flowers, a small bouquet left on the porch railing, yellow roses. Henry noticed them when she arrived. Someone's got an admirer, he said with a wink. Naomi's cheeks warmed. Oh, these aren't pretty flowers for a pretty lady. Henry smiled. Nothing wrong with that. She didn't tell him they were from his son. Later that day she was helping Henry walk through the garden when he started talking about Ethan. He's a good boy, Henry said. Always has been. Smart. Talented. But sometimes, he paused, choosing words carefully. Sometimes, He's too careful, too worried about making everyone happy. Naomi listened. He had his heart broken a few years back, Henry continued. Different girl, different situation, but it made him cautious, maybe too cautious. They reached the bench under the oak tree, sat down. Love requires bravery, Henry said softly. That's something I learned young. When I married Margaret, her family wasn't thrilled. I came from nothing. She came from everything. But we loved each other, so we fought for it. He looked at Naomi, really looked. Sometimes the things worth having are the things that scare us most. Naomi's throat tightened. Mr. Walsh. Henry. She smiled sadly. Some fears can't be fought. Maybe not. He patted her hand. But they can be faced. That night Leah came home to find Naomi sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. Okay, spill, Leah said, dropping onto the cushions. What happened? His father gave me relationship advice. The patient? Yeah. About his son? He doesn't know about what happened, but yeah. Naomi sighed. He's sweet, Leah. Henry's really sweet. And Margaret's cold but not cruel. And Ethan? What about Ethan? He's trying. Notes. Flowers. Apologies. Leah studied her. And it doesn't matter. Naomi stood. He said his family wouldn't accept me. Those were his words. Nothing's changed. But what if it did? It won't. But what if it did? Leah stood too. What if he's trying to change it? Naomi shook her head. You can't change people like that. People who've spent their whole lives thinking a certain way. It doesn't work like that. Maybe not. Leah hugged her. But maybe it's worth seeing. For closure, if nothing else. Naomi closed her eyes. She was supposed to have closure. She was supposed to be professional. But every time she walked into that house, something in her chest tightened. Every time Ethan looked at her with those guilt-ridden eyes, something in her wavered. And every time Henry talked about bravery and love, something in her hoped. She hated that hope. Hope hurt worse than disappointment. Saturday morning, Naomi's phone rang early. Hello? Naomi, it's Patricia. I know it's your day off, but Henry Walsh called. He's invited you to a family dinner tonight. Anniversary celebration. She paused. He specifically requested you. As a guest, not medical staff. Says you've been so helpful, and his recovery's going so well, he wants you there. Naomi's pulse quickened. A family dinner? I told him you probably have plans, but he was quite insistent. Said it would mean a lot. Patricia's voice softened. You don't have to go, obviously, but he seemed genuinely fond of you. Naomi closed her eyes. She could say no, should say no. But Henry had been nothing but kind, and something in her, that stupid, stubborn part, wanted to see how this played out. Okay, she said, I'll go. Great, I'll let him know. Naomi hung up, stared at her phone. This is a terrible idea, she said aloud, but she was going anyway. Leah stood in Naomi's doorway, watching her friend hold up 2 dresses. The blue one, Leah said. You didn't even look. I don't need to. The blue one says, I'm here because I'm kind, not because I'm interested. Leah flopped onto the bed. Which is the message you want to send, right? Naomi lowered both dresses. I don't know what message I want to send. Okay, honest question, why are you going? Because Henry asked me to. And nothing. Leah raised an eyebrow. You're really going to sit at a table with Ethan and his entire family, the family he said wouldn't accept you, just because a sweet old man asked nicely. Naomi sat down beside her. Maybe I need to see it. See them. See if he was right. And if he was, then I'll know. No more wondering. Leah took her hand. And if it's worse than you imagined, then I'll leave. Simple as that. Naomi squeezed back. I can handle one dinner, Leah. I know you can. Leah stood. But you shouldn't have to. After Leah left, Naomi chose the yellow dress instead. Floral print, lightweight fabric. It had been hanging in her closet for months, waiting for the right occasion. If she was walking into the fire, she might as well look like sunshine doing it. She kept her makeup simple, natural. Her braids fell loose over her shoulders. In the mirror, she looked confident. Inside, her stomach twisted. You can do this, she told her reflection. Her reflection didn't look convinced. The Walsh house glowed in the evening light. Cars lined the driveway, expensive ones. Through the windows, Naomi could see people moving around, laughing, holding wine glasses. She sat in her car for 5 minutes, working up the courage to go inside. Her phone buzzed. Leah, you got this. Remember, grace under pressure, you're the queen. Naomi smiled despite her nerves. Thanks. I'll text you later. You better. And if anyone's rude, you have permission to accidentally spill wine on them. Naomi laughed. put the phone away, grabbed her purse. Time to face the music. She walked to the front door, raised her hand to knock. The door opened before she could. Ethan stood there. He looked good. Navy suit, white shirt, no tie, hair actually combed for once. But it was his expression that stopped her, pure wonder, like he couldn't believe she was real. "You came," he said softly. "Henry invited me." "I know. I tried to talk him out of it. That stung more than it should have." "Oh, not because I didn't want you here." He stepped closer. "Because I didn't want to put you through this. My family, tonight's going to be complicated. I can handle complicated. I know you can." His eyes held hers. "That's not the point." Voices drifted from inside. Laughter, music. "Should I come in?" Naomi asked. "Or are we just going to stand here all night?" He smiled, almost sad. "Come in." The foyer was packed. People everywhere. Expensive perfume and cologne mixed with the smell of catered food. Classical music played from somewhere. Conversation stopped when Naomi entered. Not all at once, but enough. A ripple of silence that spread through the nearest clusters of guests. People stared. Naomi kept her chin up, her smile steady. "Everyone!" Henry's voice boomed from the living room. He appeared, arms outstretched. "Come meet the wonderful young woman who saved my life." He was exaggerating. Naomi had done her job, nothing more. But his enthusiasm was genuine, and it broke the tension. Henry took her arm and guided her through the room, making introductions. Names blurred together. Faces smiled politely, some warmly, others with thinly veiled curiosity. Margaret appeared at Henry's side. She wore a stunning silver gown, pearls that probably cost more than Naomi's car. Her hair was perfect, her makeup flawless. And when she looked at Naomi, something complicated passed across her face. Then she smiled. It wasn't warm, but it wasn't hostile either. "I'm so glad you could join us," Margaret said. Her voice was smooth, practiced. "Henry speaks very highly of you. Thank you for having me, Mrs. Walsh. Please call me Margaret." She glanced at Ethan, who'd been hovering nearby. "Ethan, make sure our guest has something to drink." "Of course." He touched Naomi's elbow lightly. "What would you like?" "Just water, please." "Nothing stronger?" Henry winked. "It's a celebration." "I'm working tomorrow," Naomi said. "Someone has to keep you in line." Henry laughed. A genuine, delighted sound. "That's fair." Ethan guided her toward the dining room. The table was enormous, set for at least 20 people. Crystal glasses, china plates, flowers everywhere. "This is beautiful," Naomi said. "My mother goes all out for their anniversary." He handed her a glass of water. 40 years today. "That's wonderful." "Yeah," he paused. "Listen, about tonight." A man's voice interrupted. "Well, well, the prodigal son returns to the land of the living." A taller, broader version of Ethan approached. Same eyes, but harder, more guarded. "Tom," Ethan said. "This is Naomi Carter, Dad's nurse." "I know who she is." Tom extended his hand. "Tom Walsh, the better-looking brother." Naomi shook his hand. "Nice to meet you. Dad won't stop talking about you." Tom's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. "Says you're some kind of miracle worker." "I just do my job." "Right." He glanced at Ethan. "Can I borrow you for a minute?" "Now?" "Yeah, now." The brothers stepped away. Naomi couldn't hear what they said, but their body language spoke volumes. Tom talking urgently, Ethan's jaw tightening. A quiet argument. She turned away, studied the paintings on the wall. They're impressionist reproductions. Naomi turned. A woman about her age stood there, pretty, blonde, wearing a green dress. "I'm sorry," Naomi said. "The paintings. Everyone always stares at them." The woman smiled. "I'm Claire, Tom's wife." "Naomi." "I know. Henry hasn't stopped singing your praises all week." Claire moved closer, lowering her voice. "Fair warning. Some of the older guests are going to ask you intrusive questions. They think they're being polite, they're not. Thanks for the heads up. And if anyone gives you a hard time, come find me. I'll create a distraction." Claire's smile turned mischievous. "I've gotten very good at creating distractions." Naomi liked her immediately. Dinner was called. Everyone found their seats. Naomi ended up between Henry and Ethan. Margaret sat across from her. Tom and Claire were further down the table. The first course arrived. Some kind of fancy soup Naomi couldn't identify. Conversation flowed around her. Politics, business, local gossip. She stayed quiet, listening, learning the dynamics. Henry included her when he could, asked her opinion, told stories about her competence. He was trying to make her comfortable. It was working mostly. Then an older woman, Aunt Catherine, someone had called her, spoke up from the far end of the table. "So, Naomi," she said, her voice carrying over the other conversations. "Where is your family from?" The table quieted. "Georgia originally," Naomi said, "but I was born in Virginia. And your people? What do they do?" Naomi felt Ethan tense beside her. "My mother's a teacher," she said calmly. "My father's retired military." "How respectable." Aunt Catherine sipped her wine. "And you became a nurse. That must make them proud." "I hope so." "Such important work, taking care of people." The woman's smile was thin. "Tell me, what brought you to Charleston?" "An assignment." "Will you stay or do you move around?" "I go where I'm needed." "How transient." The word hung in the air. Polite, but cutting. Margaret cleared her throat. "Catherine, would you pass the rolls?" The moment passed. Conversation resumed. But Naomi felt the weight of what had just happened. The subtle test, the quiet judgment. Under the table, Ethan's hand found hers. Squeezed once. She didn't pull away. The main course was served. Roasted chicken, vegetables that looked too artistic to eat, more wine flowing. Tom spoke up during a lull. "So, Naomi, Dad says you've lived all over. What's the craziest place you've worked?" "Depends on your definition of crazy," she said. "Give us a good story." She thought for a moment. "Montana, middle of winter. I was covering for a clinic that served a rural area. Got snowed in for 3 days with a patient going into labor." "You delivered a baby?" Claire leaned forward, interested. "The doctor did. I assisted." Naomi smiled at the memory, but the roads were completely blocked, just the 3 of us, and a very calm woman who kept apologizing for the inconvenience. "Was she okay?" Margaret asked, her first real question all evening. "She was perfect. So was the baby. A little girl. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. "That's terrifying," Claire said. "It was beautiful," Naomi corrected gently. "Terrifying, yes, but beautiful." Henry beamed. "See? I told you. Remarkable." The conversation shifted. More stories, more laughter. Naomi started to relax. Then Tom said something that changed everything. "So, Ethan," his voice was casual, too casual. "You going to tell everyone, or should I?" Ethan went very still. "Tell them what? About you two?" The table went silent. "Tom," Claire warned. "What?" Tom shrugged. "Everyone's wondering. Might as well address it." Margaret's face paled. "Thomas, it's obvious, isn't it?" Tom looked around the table. "My brother's been moping around for days, and suddenly Dad's nurse is at our family dinner. You do the math." Naomi's chest tightened. This was it, the moment she'd been dreading. "Tom, stop," Ethan said quietly. "Why? It's not like it's a secret. You like her. Maybe more than like." Tom's smile was sharp. "I'm just curious what the plan is. You going to hide it forever? Or—" "That's enough." Ethan stood. His voice was firm, angry. "You don't get to do this. Not here. Not tonight." "Do what?" "Ask questions. Humiliate her. Humiliate me." Ethan's hands were shaking. "I know what you're doing. Everyone at this table knows what you're doing." Tom's expression hardened. "I'm protecting you." "From what?" "From making a mistake." The words hit like a slap. Naomi stood. Her chair scraped against the floor. "Excuse me, I need some air." She walked out before anyone could stop her. Through the living room, out the French doors to the back porch. The night air was cool. She gulped it down, tried to steady her breathing. She'd known this would be bad, but knowing and experiencing were different things. Behind her, the door opened. "Naomi, wait. Don't." She held up a hand. "Just don't." But Ethan came anyway, stood beside her at the railing. For a long moment, neither spoke. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "For which part?" Her voice was tight. "Your brother. The suspicious looks. The questions designed to make me uncomfortable. All of it. You warned me." She turned to face him. "You told me they wouldn't accept me, and you were right. Tom doesn't speak for everyone. Doesn't he?" Naomi's eyes burned. "He said what everyone else was thinking. That's not true, isn't it?" She gestured toward the house. "Your mother's been polite. Distant. Your aunt asked where my people are from. Your brother accused me of being a mistake. So tell me, Ethan, where's the acceptance?" He flinched. "I know tonight was hard. Hard doesn't cover it." She wiped her eyes quickly. "I came here because Henry asked. Because I thought maybe—" She stopped. "It doesn't matter what I thought. It matters to me." "Does it?" She looked at him. Really looked. "Because when your brother challenged you in there, you didn't defend what we had. You defended your privacy. There's a difference. I was trying to protect you." "From what?" The truth? Her voice cracked. That you care about me but not enough to actually fight for it? That's not fair. Life's not fair. She grabbed her purse from the porch chair. I should go. Please don't. Why? She turned back. Give me one good reason to stay. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Because He stopped, swallowed hard. Because when I'm with you, I remember what it feels like to want something that's mine. Not my family's, not my career's. Mine. The words settled between them. Raw, honest. That's not enough, Naomi said softly. Wanting isn't the same as choosing. I know. He stepped closer. But it's a start. She wanted to leave, should leave, but something in his expression held her there. I hate this, she whispered. Me too. They stood in the darkness, the party continuing inside without them. Come back, he said finally. Not for them, for my dad. He'll be devastated if you leave because of Tom. Naomi closed her eyes, took a breath. Fine, she said, but I'm leaving right after dessert. That's fair. They walked back inside together, not touching, but together. The dinner had moved on to dessert. Conversations hummed, wine glasses clinked. Henry caught her eye and smiled with relief. Margaret watched her son carefully. Tom avoided looking at either of them. Naomi ate her cake, smiled when appropriate, answered questions politely, but inside she was counting the minutes until she could leave. An hour later, she said her goodbyes. Henry hugged her tightly. Thank you for coming, for putting up with us. Oh, you have a lovely family, she lied. Margaret walked her to the door. Henry's right, thank you for being here. She paused. I know tonight was difficult. Naomi met her eyes. It was. Something flickered in Margaret's expression. Surprise, maybe, that Naomi hadn't pretended otherwise. Drive safely, was all Margaret said. Ethan followed Naomi to her car. Thank you for staying, he said. I did it for Henry. I know. He shoved his hands in his pockets. For what it's worth, you handled tonight with more grace than anyone in there deserved. Grace gets exhausting. I imagine it does. She unlocked her car, paused before getting in. Ethan? Yeah? Your brother called me a mistake. She looked at him. You didn't correct him. He went pale. I know you were angry. I know the situation was complicated. Her voice was steady. But your silence was an answer. She got in the car, started the engine. He stood there watching her drive away. Again. Inside, Margaret found Ethan standing in the foyer, staring at nothing. You're in love with her, she said quietly. It wasn't a question. He turned. His mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed. Yes, he said. I am. And? And nothing. She deserves better than this family. Margaret's jaw tightened. That's not your decision to make. No? He laughed bitterly. Then whose is it? Yours? Tom's? Aunt Catherine's? Don't be dramatic. I'm not. He faced her fully. I told her you wouldn't accept her. That first night I said it straight out, and tonight proved me right. Margaret flinched. I was perfectly polite. Polite isn't acceptance. His voice cracked, and she knows the difference. What do you want from me? Nothing. He headed toward the stairs. Not anymore. Ethan. But he was already gone. Margaret stood alone in the foyer. The party sounds drifted from the dining room. Her perfect anniversary celebration. She looked at the chair where Naomi had left her shawl earlier. Someone had hung it over the back. Light yellow fabric. Simple. Elegant. Margaret touched it gently, then walked away. 2 days passed. Naomi continued her morning visits to check on Henry. Professional, polite, efficient. Ethan stayed out of sight. Henry noticed. Did something happen? Everything's fine, Naomi said, checking his blood pressure. You're a terrible liar. She smiled despite herself. So are you. Fair enough. He settled back in his chair. Want to tell me what my son did wrong? Who says he did anything wrong? I've been married 40 years. I know what tension looks like. Henry studied her. He cares about you. I know. And you care about him. She didn't answer. Life's too short for pride, Henry said softly. I learned that the hard way. This isn't about pride. Then what is it about? Naomi set down her stethoscope. It's about knowing when to walk away before you get hurt worse. And you think walking away won't hurt? She packed her equipment. It hurts less than staying somewhere you're not wanted. Who says you're not wanted? The question hung in the air. Naomi didn't have an answer. That afternoon, a storm rolled in. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Rain started slow, then heavy. Naomi was finishing Henry's medication review when the lights flickered, then went out. Well, Henry said into the darkness, that's unfortunate. Naomi pulled out her phone. Used the flashlight to navigate. Where are your candles? Kitchen. Cabinet above the sink. She found them. Matches, too. Started lighting candles throughout the house. The glow was warm, intimate. Feels like camping, Henry joked from his chair. Have you ever been camping, Mr. Walsh? Once. Hated it. He grinned. But the ambiance is nice. Ethan appeared from upstairs, holding a lantern. He froze when he saw Naomi. Oh, I thought you'd left already. Storm came up fast, she said. I wanted to make sure your father was okay before driving in it. That's thoughtful. Awkward silence. Henry cleared his throat. I'm going to see if your mother needs help with anything. You two keep each other company. Dad. But Henry was already shuffling toward the kitchen, lantern in hand. Subtle as a freight train, that man. Naomi started to gather her things. I should probably... Wait. Ethan set down his lantern. Can we talk? I don't think that's a good idea. Please. Just 5 minutes. The rain pounded against the windows. Thunder rolled closer. 5 minutes, she agreed. They sat on opposite ends of the couch. The candlelight flickered between them. I'm sorry about dinner, he said. About Tom. About all of it. You've apologized before. I know. But I keep screwing up. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Love someone my family won't accept. The word hung there. Love. Naomi's breath caught. Oh, you can't say things like that, she whispered. Why not? It's true. Because it doesn't change anything. Doesn't it? He looked at her. I thought about what you said, about choosing versus wanting. You're right. I haven't chosen. Not really. He moved closer. But I want to. I want to choose you. Wanting to isn't the same as doing it. Then let me prove it. Her heart hammered. How? I don't know yet. His honesty was devastating. But I'll figure it out. Just don't give up on me yet. The storm raged outside. Inside, the candles cast dancing shadows. I'm scared, Naomi admitted. Of what? Of hoping. Of believing this could work. She met his eyes. Of getting hurt again. I know. He reached for her hand, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers laced with hers. Warm, steady. I don't want to hurt you, he said softly. That's the last thing I want. But you will, eventually. Because this, she gestured between them. This is impossible. Maybe. He squeezed her hand. Or maybe it's just really hard. Rain drummed against the roof. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Tell me about Montana, he said suddenly. What? The story you told at dinner about delivering the baby in the snow. Tell me the rest. So she did. Told him about the mother's calm strength, the father's panic, the moment the baby cried and everything felt right despite the chaos. He listened, really listened, asked questions, laughed at the funny parts. Then he told her about a building he'd designed, a community center in a poor neighborhood, how the kids used it every day now, how he'd gone back recently and seen his work being used, being loved. That's why you do it, Naomi said. The architecture. Yeah, to build something that matters. That's how I feel about nursing. Their eyes met. Understanding passed between them. The lights flickered, then came back on, bright and jarring after the soft candlelight. They both blinked. Well, Naomi said, that's my cue. She stood, gathered her bag. He walked her to the door. Thank you, he said, for staying, for talking. 5 minutes turned into 20. Sorry, time flies when... Don't finish that sentence. He smiled, a real smile, the kind that reached his eyes. She left before she could change her mind about anything, but in the car, she realized she was still smiling too. The next evening, Naomi was home making dinner when her phone rang. Henry. Hello? Naomi, dear, I'm so sorry to bother you. His voice was strained. Margaret and I had to run out for an appointment. Ethan's here, but he's upstairs working. Could you possibly... There's an issue with my medication. The evening dose. I can't remember if I took it already. Her heart sank. Medication confusion in cardiac patients was serious. I'll be right there. She grabbed her keys, drove too fast. Ethan answered the door. What are you doing here? Your father called. Medication issue. His face paled. What kind of issue? Where is he? Kitchen. She hurried past him. Found Henry sitting at the table, looking perfectly calm. Henry, are you okay? Oh, I'm fine, he smiled. Actually, I took my medication already. I just checked. Naomi froze. What? I'm sorry for the confusion. Old age, you know. She stared at him, at his completely guilt-free expression. You... Understanding dawned. You set this up. I have no idea what you mean. Mr. Walsh? Henry. He stood. Now I really should go check on something upstairs. Take your time leaving. The door locks automatically. He shuffled out, left Naomi standing there, stunned. Footsteps behind her. Ethan. Did he really just... Yep. Naomi turned. Your father is unbelievable. He's something, all right. They looked at each other, and then they were both laughing. Real, genuine laughter that broke the tension. I can't believe he faked a medication emergency, Naomi said. He's always been a romantic. Ethan moved closer. Terrible at subtlety, though. Clearly. The laughter faded. They stood in the kitchen, close enough to touch. I should go, Naomi said, but she didn't move. Probably. Neither of them moved. Naomi, don't. I just want to. Please don't. I love you. The words stopped everything. Time, breath, thought. You can't say that, she whispered. Too late. He stepped closer. I love you, and I know this is messy. I know my family's complicated. I know I've hurt you, but I love you, and I'm not going to hide it anymore. Tears welled in her eyes. This is a bad idea. Probably. We'll regret it. Maybe. Your family... I'll handle my family. You don't know how. Then I'll figure it out. His hand cupped her face gently. But I'm not walking away from you again. A tear slipped down her cheek. He wiped it away with his thumb. Tell me to leave, he whispered. If you don't feel the same way, tell me to leave. She couldn't, because she did feel the same way, had felt it since that first morning at the renovation site, had been fighting it ever since. This is crazy, she breathed. I know. We barely know each other. I know. It won't work. Maybe not. His forehead touched hers. But what if it does? She closed her eyes, felt his warmth, his steadiness, his hope. I'm scared, she admitted again. Me too. What if I get hurt? Then I'll spend every day making it up to you. She opened her eyes. He was right there, close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his blue eyes, close enough to feel his heartbeat. Ethan. He kissed her, soft, gentle. Asking a question, she answered by kissing him back. The world narrowed to just this, his hands in her hair, her fingers gripping his shirt, the taste of hope and fear and something that felt dangerously like love. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, reality came crashing back. We can't, she said, but she didn't let go. We are, he replied. Your mother saw us. Naomi's eyes went wide. What? He nodded toward the hallway. She came home a few minutes ago. She's standing in the hallway right now. Naomi's stomach dropped. She pulled away, turned. Margaret stood frozen in the hallway entrance, face pale, eyes wide, and on her cheeks, tears. The three of them stood in awful silence. Then Margaret turned and walked away. Naomi stood frozen in the Walsh kitchen. Her lips still tingled from the kiss. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Margaret had seen them. I should go, Naomi whispered. Wait. Ethan reached for her hand. No, she pulled away. I need to leave. Now. She grabbed her bag, rushed toward the front door. Henry appeared at the top of the stairs. Naomi? Is everything... She didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Outside, the evening air hit her face, cool and sharp. She fumbled with her car keys, dropped them, picked them up. Naomi, please. Ethan had followed her out. Let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. My mother saw us, I know. She unlocked her car. And now everything's worse. It doesn't have to be. She turned, looked at him. Your mother just watched you kiss a black woman in her own house, the woman she's been politely tolerating for weeks. You think that made things better? He flinched. Exactly. She opened her car door. This was a mistake. Don't say that. It's true. Her voice cracked. I let myself hope, let myself believe maybe this could work, but it can't. Your mother's face just proved it. You didn't see what I saw. What's that supposed to mean? She was crying. Naomi stopped. So? So maybe... He ran his hand through his hair. Maybe it wasn't disgust. Maybe it was something else. Like what? Disappointment? Horror? I don't know, his frustration showed. But I'm going to find out. Don't. Naomi got in her car. Just don't make this harder than it already is. She drove away before he could argue. In her rearview mirror, she saw him standing in the driveway, arms hanging at his sides, looking lost. Her chest ached, but she kept driving. At home, Leah took one look at her face and pulled her into a hug. What happened? Everything. Naomi's voice was muffled against Leah's shoulder. Everything happened. They sat on the couch. Naomi told her everything. The storm, the conversation, Henry's scheme, the kiss, Margaret seeing them. Oh, honey. Leah squeezed her hand. What are you going to do? I don't know. Do you love him? The question hung in the air. Naomi closed her eyes. Yeah, I think I do. Then fight for it. How? Naomi looked at her. His mother saw us kiss and walked away crying. That's not exactly a blessing. Maybe she was crying for a different reason. Everyone keeps saying that, but nobody seems to know what reason. Leah was quiet for a moment. What does your gut tell you? Naomi thought about Margaret's face, the tears, the shock. My gut says this is going to end badly, she admitted, but my heart wants to hope anyway. Then hope. Leah smiled sadly. Hope until you can't anymore. The next morning, Naomi arrived at the Walsh house for her usual visit. Her stomach churned the whole drive. Margaret answered the door. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying or hadn't slept. Maybe both. Good morning, Naomi said quietly. Good morning. Margaret's voice was hoarse. Henry's in the living room. They stood in the doorway, neither moving. Mrs. Walsh, please don't. Margaret held up her hand. Not yet. I can't. She walked away, left Naomi standing there. Henry was reading the newspaper when Naomi entered. He looked up, saw her face. Oh dear, he said. What did I do? Despite everything, Naomi almost smiled. You know exactly what you did. I was trying to help. I know. She sat down, started unpacking her equipment. But some things can't be helped. Nonsense. Everything can be helped with the right approach. She checked his blood pressure, his pulse, made notes in her chart. How's Margaret? Henry asked. I don't know. She barely spoke to me. He sighed. She's struggling. With what? Change. He set down his newspaper. My wife is a good woman, but she was raised a certain way, in a certain time. Her parents had very specific ideas about the world. I understand. Do you? Henry looked at her. Because understanding and accepting are different things. I know that too. He reached over, patted her hand. Give her time. She'll come around. Naomi wanted to believe him, but time was running out. That evening, Mrs. Calloway, the Walsh's elderly neighbor, posted on her blog. The blog was local, small readership, mostly gossip and garden tips. But in a town like this, small readership was enough. The post included a photo from the anniversary dinner, Ethan and Naomi standing on the porch, smiling at each other. The candlelight made everything look warm, intimate. The caption read, Walsh family opens hearts and home. Love blooms in unexpected places. It seemed harmless, almost sweet. Until the comments started. Some were supportive, most weren't. By morning, the post had been shared on Facebook, on Instagram, in group chats. Naomi's phone buzzed constantly, friends asking questions, acquaintances being nosy, strangers sending messages. She turned it off, put it in a drawer, but she couldn't escape it at work. Patricia called her into the office. We need to talk. Naomi's stomach sank. About what? There's a photo going around, of you and Ethan Walsh. Patricia folded her hands on her desk. At a family event. It was their anniversary dinner. Henry invited me. As medical staff, as a guest. Patricia's expression tightened. Naomi, you know the rules. Personal relationships with patients' families complicate everything. I know, but there's no but. Patricia's voice was firm. Either you maintain professional boundaries, or we reassign you. Henry needs consistency. Changing nurses now could set back his recovery. Then you need to decide what's more important. Your personal life or your professional reputation. The word stung. Because Patricia was right. Naomi had crossed lines she shouldn't have crossed. I'll maintain boundaries, she said quietly. Good. Patricia softened slightly. I know this is hard, but it's the right thing. Naomi nodded, left the office. In her car, she finally let herself cry. At the Walsh house, Margaret paced the kitchen. The blog post was pulled up on her tablet. She'd read it a dozen times. Henry sat at the table watching her. It's a nice photo, he said gently. It's a disaster. Margaret set down the tablet. People are talking. My book club, the garden society, everyone. Let them talk. Henry, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. He stood, walked over to her. You're embarrassed, worried what people will think, afraid of being judged. She turned away. That's not fair, isn't it? His voice was soft, not accusing, just honest. Our son is in love. And you're worried about gossip. It's not just gossip, it's... She stopped. It's complicated. Only because you're making it complicated. You don't know what you're asking me to do. I'm not asking you to do anything. He touched her shoulder. I'm asking you to feel something, to look at that photo and see what I see. What do you see? Our son. Happy, truly happy, for the first time in years. Margaret's eyes welled with tears. I see that too. Then what's the problem? The problem is I also see the world he's choosing, the judgment he'll face, the doors that might close. She wiped her eyes. I don't want that for him. That's not your choice to make. He's my son. He's a grown man. Henry's voice was gentle but firm. And he's chosen well. Naomi is kind, intelligent. She's taken better care of me than any nurse I've ever had. She makes Ethan laugh. She challenges him. She's good for him. I know. Margaret's voice broke. I know all that. Then what are you really afraid of? She was quiet for a long time. That I'm a terrible person, she finally whispered, for caring what people think, for worrying about appearances, for not immediately embracing her. She looked at her husband. I saw them kiss, and my first thought wasn't happiness. It was panic. What does that make me? Human, Henry said simply. Flawed, like all of us. I don't know how to fix this. Start by being honest. With yourself, with them. Margaret nodded, but she didn't move. Change was hard, especially when it required looking at the worst parts of yourself. Ethan's phone had been ringing all morning. Clients, colleagues, friends. Everyone had seen the photo. Most calls were supportive. Some were curious, a few were critical. One client, a major developer, left a voicemail. Need to discuss some concerns about public perception and our working relationship. Translation. Fix this or lose the contract. Tom showed up at Ethan's apartment that afternoon. Didn't knock, just used his spare key and walked in. We need to talk, Tom said. Not now. Yes, now. Tom dropped onto the couch. You've got clients calling the office. Mom's having a breakdown, and Dad won't stop defending you, which is making Mom worse. I didn't ask for any of this. You kissed her at Mom and Dad's house. What did you think would happen? Ethan turned, faced his brother. I thought maybe for once my family would support me. We're trying to protect you. From what? Being happy? From making decisions that'll hurt you later? Like what? Falling in love with someone who doesn't fit your idea of appropriate? Tom's jaw tightened. That's not fair, isn't it? Ethan's voice rose. You called her a mistake. At dinner, in front of everyone. I was trying to humiliate her. Mission accomplished. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Ethan stepped closer. Explain it to me. Because from where I'm standing, you and Mom and everyone else have done nothing but make this harder. Tom stood. You're right. I was an ass at dinner. I apologize. The admission surprised Ethan. But, Tom continued, you need to understand something. This isn't just about you. Your choices affect the whole family. Business relationships, social circles, everything. So I should give up the woman I love because it might make things awkward at the country club? I'm saying you should think about the cost. I have thought about it. Ethan's voice was quiet now, tired. I've thought about nothing else. And you know what? She's worth it. She's worth every uncomfortable conversation, every lost client, every gossipy neighbor. Does she feel the same way? The question hit hard, because Ethan didn't know. Not really. Naomi had kissed him back, said she was scared. But scared of what? Him? The situation? Her own feelings? I don't know, Ethan admitted. Then maybe you should find out before you burn your whole life down. Tom left. The apartment felt emptier than before. Ethan pulled out his phone, started to text Naomi, deleted it, started again. I miss you. He stared at the message, then deleted it too. What was the point? Everything was falling apart, and he didn't know how to fix it. The next morning, Naomi arrived at the Walsh house early. She'd barely slept. Margaret was in the kitchen making tea. Morning, Naomi said quietly. Morning. Margaret didn't turn around. Is Henry awake? Not yet. He had a rough night. Naomi's professional instincts kicked in. What kind of rough night? Couldn't sleep, some chest discomfort. He said it was nothing. I should check on him. He's resting now. Give him another hour. They stood in awkward silence. The tea kettle whistled. Margaret poured 2 cups, slid one toward Naomi. Thank you, Naomi said. You're welcome. More silence. Mrs. Walsh, I owe you an apology, Margaret interrupted. Her voice was shaky. For the other night. For walking away. For everything. Naomi set down her cup. You don't owe me anything. I do. Margaret finally turned around. Her eyes were red-rimmed. I've been awful to you. Polite, but awful. You know the difference. I understand the position I've put you in. No. Margaret held up her hand. Don't make excuses for me. I'm a grown woman. I made my own choices and they were wrong. Naomi didn't know what to say. My son is in love with you, Margaret continued, and instead of being happy for him, I panicked, worried about appearances, about what people would say. She blinked back tears. I'm ashamed of myself. Change is hard, Naomi said gently, especially when it challenges everything you've known. That's generous of you. It's honest. Margaret managed a small smile. You're good for him. I can see that. Henry's right. You make Ethan better, happier. But, Naomi heard the unspoken word, but I don't know how to navigate this. Margaret's voice cracked. I don't know how to face my friends, my family, the judgment. She wiped her eyes. And I hate that I care so much about what they think, but I do. Naomi's chest ached. For Margaret, for herself, for Ethan. Maybe that's something you need to work through, Naomi said quietly. But it's not fair to make Ethan or me wait while you figure it out. I know. Margaret looked at her. Really looked. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. Upstairs a door opened. Footsteps in the hallway. I should check on Henry, Naomi said. Margaret nodded. Let her go. But as Naomi climbed the stairs, she heard Margaret whisper, I'm sorry. Henry's checkup went smoothly. The chest discomfort was likely stress-related. His vitals were stable. You need to relax, Naomi told him. No more scheming. No more drama. I make no promises. He smiled. But I'll try. How's Margaret? Struggling, but trying. He patted her hand. Give her time. Everyone keeps saying that, because it's true. What if time isn't enough? Henry's expression turned serious. Then, you'll have to decide what you can live with and what you can't. That afternoon, Naomi got a text from Patricia. Need to see you, office now. Her stomach dropped. At the agency, Patricia's face was grim. We're reassigning you from the Walsh case. What? Why? Mrs. Walsh called. She said the situation has become too complicated, that it's best for everyone if we send someone else. The words hit like a punch. Margaret had asked for her to be removed. When? Naomi asked. Effective immediately. Your replacement starts tomorrow. Naomi sat down. Her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. I'm sorry, Patricia said. I know you'd grown attached to the patient. He needs consistency. He'll adjust. Naomi nodded, numb. Take the rest of the day off, Patricia said gently. Start fresh tomorrow, with a new assignment. Outside, Naomi sat in her car, stared at nothing. Her phone buzzed. Ethan, can we talk? She stared at the message, then typed back, Your mother fired me. So no, we can't talk. She drove home. Called in sick for the rest of the week. Unplugged her phone. Leah found her 2 days later, still in pajamas, ice cream for breakfast. Okay, Leah said. Intervention time. Not now. Yes, now. Leah sat down. You can't hide forever. Watch me. Naomi... She fired me, Leah. Naomi's voice cracked. Margaret called my agency and had me removed from Henry's care. After I'd been taking care of him for weeks. After everything. That's horrible. It's clear. Naomi wiped her eyes. She doesn't want me near her family, and I need to accept that. What about Ethan? What about him? Does he know what his mother did? Probably. And nothing. If he wanted to fight for this, he would have by now. Naomi stood. I'm done hoping. Done waiting. I'm just done. Leah pulled her into a hug. Let her cry. Ethan found out about his mother's call 2 days later. From Tom, who'd heard it from Claire, who'd heard it from Margaret's friend. He stormed into his parents' house without knocking. What did you do? He demanded. Margaret was in the garden, cutting roses. She looked up. I did what I thought was best. You fired her? His voice shook with rage. She was Dad's nurse. He needs her. He has a new nurse, very competent. That's not the point. Then what is the point, Ethan? Margaret set down her shears. Tell me, what do you want from me? I want you to stop punishing her for something I did. I'm not punishing anyone, I'm protecting my family. From what? Love? Happiness? From pain. Margaret's voice rose. From the hurt that comes when the world judges you for your choices. From the loneliness of standing alone. We wouldn't be alone, we'd have each other. That's naive. It's hopeful. It's not enough. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. Love isn't enough when the world is cruel. Trust me. I know. Ethan stared at his mother, really seeing her for the first time. What are you talking about? She looked away. Nothing. Forget it. Mom, I'm tired, Ethan. Can we please not do this now? He wanted to push, to demand answers, but she looked fragile, broken. Fine, he said, but this isn't over. He left. Drove to Naomi's apartment. She didn't answer the door. He knocked again. "Naomi, please, I know you're in there." Nothing. "I didn't know what she did," he said through the door. "I swear, and I'm furious at her, at this whole situation." Silence. "Please talk to me." More silence. He pressed his forehead against the door. "I love you. I know that's not enough. I know I've let you down. But I love you, and I'm not giving up." The door stayed closed. He waited another 10 minutes, then left. Inside, Naomi sat on the floor, back against the door, tears streaming down her face. She'd heard every word, but hearing wasn't enough. Not anymore. A week crawled by. Naomi threw herself into work. New assignment. Elderly widow downtown. Sweet woman. Easy case. But every day felt grey. She missed Henry. Missed his wisdom, his humor, his gentle pushes toward hope. She missed Ethan. Missed his smile, his laugh, the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the room. But missing wasn't the same as having, and she was learning to live without. Leah tried to cheer her up. Movie nights. Ice cream. Bad reality TV. It helped, a little. "You're allowed to be sad," Leah said one night, "but you're not allowed to give up on love forever because one family couldn't see your worth." "I'm not giving up on love." "Aren't you?" Naomi didn't answer. Because maybe she was. Maybe it was easier than hoping. At the Walsh house, Henry's new nurse was efficient, polite, thorough. But she wasn't Naomi. "I miss her," Henry told Margaret one morning. "I know." "Why did you ask her to leave?" Margaret sat down, took his hand. "Because I was scared, and scared people make bad choices." "Do you regret it?" She was quiet for a long moment. "Yes, every day." "Then fix it." "I don't know how." "Start with the truth." Henry squeezed her hand. "Tell them why you're really afraid. They won't understand. Try them." Margaret looked at her husband, the man she'd loved for 40 years, who'd stood beside her through everything. "What if I can't?" she whispered. "Then you'll lose them both," he said gently, "and that would be the real tragedy." 2 days later, Henry called Naomi. She almost didn't answer. His name on her phone made her chest ache, but he was still her patient. Sort of, even if someone else was handling his care now. "Hello? Naomi?" Henry's voice was warm, familiar. "I hope I'm not bothering you." "Not at all. How are you feeling?" "Much better, thank you. The new nurse is fine, competent. But," he paused, "she's not you." Naomi's throat tightened. "I'm glad you're doing well. I wanted to thank you properly, for everything you did for me, for our family." He cleared his throat. "Margaret and I would like to invite you to lunch. This Saturday. Nothing formal, just a thank you meal." Every instinct screamed no. "Mr. Walsh." Henry, I don't think that's a good idea. Please. It would mean the world to us." His voice was gentle, persuasive. "Just lunch. 1 hour. Then you never have to see us again if you don't want to." She closed her eyes. "I don't know. Sleep on it. I'll text you the details. If you don't come, I'll understand." He paused. "But I hope you do." The call ended. Naomi stared at her phone. Leah looked up from her laptop. "Who was that?" "Henry Walsh. He wants me to come to lunch on Saturday." "Are you going?" "No, definitely not." "Okay. I mean it. I'm not going. I believe you." Naomi set down her phone. "It would be stupid to go. Completely stupid. I'd just be opening old wounds." "Absolutely." Naomi looked at her friend. "You think I should go?" "I think," Leah said carefully, "that you'll regret it if you don't. Not because you'll get back together with Ethan. Maybe you won't. But because you need closure, real closure, not just running away." "I didn't run away." "You absolutely ran away." Naomi threw a pillow at her. Leah caught it, laughing. But later that night, alone in her room, Naomi thought about Henry's invitation. 1 lunch, 1 hour. Maybe Leah was right. Maybe she needed to face this one last time, to walk away with her head high, with real closure. Not just hiding in her apartment, eating ice cream, avoiding the world. She picked up her phone, typed a response. "I'll be there. Noon on Saturday." Henry's reply came immediately. "Thank you. You won't regret this." She hoped he was right. Saturday arrived too quickly. Naomi changed outfits 3 times, settled on a simple blue dress. Nothing fancy, nothing that said she was trying too hard. "You look beautiful," Leah said from the doorway. "I look nervous." "That too." Leah hugged her. "Text me if you need an escape plan. I'll call with a fake emergency." "Thanks." "And Naomi, whatever happens today, you deserve respect. Don't let anyone make you feel small." Naomi nodded, grabbed her keys. The drive to the Walsh house felt longer than usual. Her hands were sweaty on the steering wheel. She pulled into the driveway, took 3 deep breaths. "You can do this," she whispered. She walked to the front door, raised her hand to knock. The door opened before she could. Margaret stood there. For a moment neither spoke. Margaret looked different, tired. Her makeup couldn't hide the circles under her eyes. But there was something else too, something softer. "Thank you for coming," Margaret said quietly. "Of course. Please come in." Naomi stepped inside. The house smelled like fresh bread and flowers. "Henry's in the dining room," Margaret said. "We're so glad you're here." They walked through the familiar hallway. Naomi's heart pounded with each step. Then they entered the dining room, and Naomi stopped dead. The room was full. Not just Henry. Tom and Claire sat at the table. 2 people she didn't recognize, probably more relatives. Ethan stood by the window. This wasn't a small thank you lunch. This was an ambush. "I should go," Naomi said immediately, turning toward the door. "Please don't." Henry stood up quickly. "I know this isn't what you expected, but please, stay. You tricked me. I asked you here under false pretenses," he admitted. "And I'm sorry, but there are things that need to be said, and they need to be said with everyone present." Naomi looked at Margaret, at Henry, at the others. Ethan hadn't moved from the window, but his eyes were on her, intense, hopeful. "1 hour," Naomi said finally. "Then I'm leaving. That's fair." Henry gestured to an empty chair. "Please, sit." She sat, felt like she was walking into a trap, but she sat. Margaret remained standing. Her hands trembled as she gripped the back of her chair. "I asked everyone here today," Margaret began, "because I owe this young woman an apology, a real one, and I wanted witnesses." Naomi's pulse quickened. "I've spent my whole life worried about appearances," Margaret continued. Her voice shook. "About what people would think, what they would say. I was raised in a home where social standing mattered more than happiness, where the right kind of people were welcomed and everyone else was quietly excluded." She looked directly at Naomi. "When my son fell in love with you, my first thought wasn't happiness. It was fear. Fear of judgment, fear of change, fear of everything I'd been taught to fear." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "And I'm ashamed, deeply, completely ashamed." The room was silent. "I removed you from Henry's care because I thought distance would make everything easier. For you, for Ethan, for me." Margaret's voice broke. "But all it did was hurt everyone, especially you. And I'm sorry." Naomi's eyes burned. She blinked hard. "You came into our home with grace and professionalism," Margaret continued. "You took care of my husband when he needed it most. You were kind when we didn't deserve it. You showed our family what real strength looks like." She wiped her eyes. "And instead of thanking you, I pushed you away." "Margaret," Henry started. "Let me finish." She took a shaky breath. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know I was wrong about everything, and if I could take it back, I would." Margaret looked at her son. "Ethan has been miserable without you, barely eating, barely sleeping, and it's my fault. I put my fears above his happiness, above your dignity, above everything that actually matters." She turned back to Naomi. "You deserve better than this family, better than me. But if you're willing to give us another chance, we'll spend every day earning it." The words hung in the air. Naomi sat frozen. She'd prepared herself for many things, but not this. Not genuine remorse, not public vulnerability. "I don't know what to say," Naomi finally managed. "You don't have to say anything," Margaret said. "I just needed you to hear it from me in front of everyone." Tom cleared his throat. "I owe you an apology, too." He stood up. "I was protective of Ethan, but I was also narrow-minded and rude. What I said at dinner, calling you a mistake, that was unforgivable. I'm sorry." Claire squeezed his hand, nodded her approval. The older couple Naomi didn't recognize introduced themselves as Henry's brother and sister-in-law. "We're sorry we weren't at the dinner," the woman said kindly. "We would have welcomed you properly." Naomi felt overwhelmed. Tears threatened to fall. She looked at Ethan. He hadn't said anything yet, just stood there, watching her with an expression that broke her heart. "Can I talk to Naomi?" Ethan asked quietly. "Alone?" Margaret nodded. The garden's empty. They walked outside in silence. The afternoon sun was warm, gentle. Birds sang in the oak tree. They stopped by the bench where Naomi had sat with Henry weeks ago. "I didn't know about this," Ethan said. "About today. Dad planned it with Mom. They didn't tell me until this morning." "It's okay." "Is it?" He turned to face her. "Because you look like you're about to run." "I'm overwhelmed." "I know, I'm sorry." They stood in awkward silence. So much had happened, so many words left unsaid. My mother meant everything she said in there, Ethan finally said. She's been working on herself, reading books, talking to a therapist, actually doing the hard work of change. That's good, but I know it doesn't erase what happened, the hurt she caused, the pain. No, it doesn't. He stepped closer. I've missed you, every single day. I wake up thinking about you, go to sleep thinking about you. You're everywhere, Naomi. And I don't want to live in a world where you're not in my life. Her breath caught. But I understand if it's too late, he continued. If I hurt you too badly. If my family hurt you too badly, I'll accept that. I'll step back. I'll let you move on. Ethan, but I need you to know something first. His voice was raw, honest. I love you, completely. And if you give me another chance, I'll spend every day proving it. Not just with words, with actions, with choices that put you first. Tears streamed down Naomi's face. This is so hard. I know. I was so hurt. When your mother fired me. When you didn't fight harder. I should have fought harder. You're right. He took her hands. But I'm fighting now. I'm standing here in front of you, in front of my whole family, saying I choose you. I choose us. No more hiding. No more worrying about what other people think. What about your clients? Your business relationships? They'll adjust or they won't. But I'm not sacrificing the woman I love for people who can't see past their own prejudice. She looked at him, really looked, saw the determination in his eyes, the love, the courage. I'm scared, she whispered. So am I. What if this doesn't work? Then at least we tried. He cupped her face gently. But what if it does work? What if we get everything we want? Isn't that worth the risk? She thought about the past weeks. The loneliness, the ache, the constant wondering, what if? She thought about Margaret's apology, Tom's remorse, the family trying, actually trying, to change. And she thought about Ethan, about the way he made her laugh, the way he listened, the way he looked at her like she was the sun, and he was just grateful to be in her light. Kiss me, she said. His eyes widened. What? Kiss me, right now, before I change my mind. He didn't need to be told twice. His lips met hers, soft at first, then deeper, pouring months of longing and hope and love into that one moment. When they broke apart, both breathless, he pressed his forehead to hers. Does this mean yes? He asked. It means I'm willing to try. She smiled through her tears. But you're on probation. One wrong move, Walsh, and I'm gone. He laughed, actually laughed. That's fair. They walked back inside hand in hand. The family was still in the dining room, pretending not to have been watching through the window. Henry saw their joined hands and broke into the biggest smile. Well, Ethan said, I think we have something to celebrate. Margaret crossed the room, stopped in front of Naomi. Then, to everyone's surprise, she hugged her, a real hug, warm, genuine. Thank you, Margaret whispered, for giving us another chance. Naomi hugged her back. Thank you for taking it. The lunch was actually pleasant. Laughter filled the room. Stories were shared. Tom even made Naomi laugh with an embarrassing story about Ethan's teenage years. He tried to impress a girl by building a treehouse, Tom said, except he forgot to account for structural integrity. The whole thing collapsed with him in it. I was 14, Ethan protested. You were an idiot. That too. Everyone laughed, even Margaret. After the meal, Claire pulled Naomi aside. I'm really glad you came back. Me too. Tom was awful to you at that dinner, but he feels terrible about it. He's not great with emotions, but he's trying. I can see that. And Margaret, Claire glanced at where Margaret and Henry were talking quietly. She's changing, really changing. Give her time. She'll surprise you. Naomi nodded. Hope bloomed in her chest. Maybe this could work. Maybe love could heal even the deepest wounds. Over the next weeks, Naomi and Ethan rebuilt what had broken. Slowly, carefully. They went on proper dates, movies, dinners, long walks by the coast. He met her properly, meaning he actually sat down with Leah and survived an interrogation that would have broken weaker men. You hurt her again, and I'll destroy you, Leah said pleasantly. Understood, Ethan replied. Good talk, Naomi laughed, took his hand. You passed. Margaret invited Naomi to lunch, just the two of them. It was awkward at first, stilted conversation, careful words. But then Margaret opened up, told stories about her childhood, about the grandmother who raised her with strict rules and stricter expectations. She loved me, Margaret said, but she taught me that love meant control, that protecting meant limiting. She stirred her tea. I'm trying to unlearn that. It's harder than I expected. Change is always hard, Naomi said gently. But you're doing it, that matters. I want to be better. For Ethan, for Henry, for myself. Margaret met her eyes. And for you, if you'll let me. I'd like that. They started having regular lunches. Sometimes they talked about serious things, sometimes just about books or gardens or nothing in particular. Slowly, a friendship formed. Henry beamed every time he saw them together. My two favorite women getting along. Life is good. Tom and Claire hosted a dinner, invited Naomi and Ethan. It went well. Better than well. Tom apologized again, properly this time. Claire asked Naomi about her work. They talked like normal people, like family. Naomi started to believe this might actually work. 3 months later, Ethan asked Naomi to move in with him. It's too soon, she said, even as her heart leaped. Probably, he agreed, but I don't want to spend another night without you. That's very romantic, but we should be practical. You're right, he kissed her forehead. Take your time, I'll wait. She moved in 2 weeks later. Leah helped her pack. I can't believe you're leaving me. You'll survive. Barely. Leah hugged her tight. But I'm happy for you. You deserve this. Thank you. For everything. For being there when I needed you most. That's what best friends do. The apartment Ethan had was small but perfect. A loft downtown with big windows and exposed brick. It's not much, he said as they unloaded boxes. It's perfect. They made it a home. Her books on his shelves. Her photos on his walls. Her laughter filling his space. Every morning she woke up beside him and felt grateful. Every night she fell asleep in his arms and felt safe. 6 months after that, on a cool evening in autumn, Ethan took her to the community center where they'd first met. Why are we here? She asked. I wanted to show you something. The renovation was finished. The building gleamed. Children played in the new gym. Elderly people sat in the reading room. It's beautiful, Naomi said. It took a long time, but it was worth it. He turned to her. Kind of like us. She smiled. Are you comparing our relationship to a construction project? Maybe. He took her hands. We had a rough start. Lots of setbacks. Moments when I thought we'd never make it. He got down on one knee. Naomi's breath stopped. But we did make it, he continued, because you're strong and patient and willing to give second chances to people who don't deserve them. He pulled out a small box. I want to spend the rest of my life earning those chances, being worthy of your love, building something beautiful with you. He opened the box. A simple ring. Elegant. Perfect. Naomi Carter, will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face. Yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, stood, kissed her, while she laughed and cried at the same time. I love you, he whispered. I love you too. Behind them, someone started clapping. They turned. Henry and Margaret stood in the doorway, both beaming. You knew? Naomi asked. He asked our permission weeks ago, Henry said. Very traditional of him. I approved immediately, Margaret added. She approached them, tears in her eyes. Welcome to the family, officially. She hugged Naomi. A real embrace. Thank you, Naomi whispered, for changing, for trying, for this. No, Margaret said. Thank you, for teaching us what grace really looks like. 1 year later, the Walsh house garden was transformed. White chairs lined the lawn, flowers everywhere. String lights hung from the oak tree. Naomi stood in the upstairs bedroom, looking at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was simple. Ivory lace, flowing fabric. Beautiful without being extravagant. Leah adjusted her veil. You look like a queen. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's normal. Is it? Probably not, but you're allowed to be nervous. A knock on the door. Margaret entered, carrying a small box. These were my grandmother's, she said, opening it. Pearl earrings, delicate and timeless. I'd be honored if you'd wear them. Naomi's eyes filled with tears. Really, really. Margaret helped her put them on. You're family now, this is what family does. Claire poked her head in. Everyone's ready. You look stunning. Thank you. Tom's crying already, by the way. He's pretending he's not, but he is. Naomi laughed, wiped her eyes carefully. Ready? Leah asked. Ready. They walked downstairs, through the house, to the back door. Music started, soft and sweet. Naomi stepped outside. The guests turned, faces full of love and joy. Her mother and father sat in the front row. They'd flown in from Virginia. Her mother was already crying. Friends from her nursing jobs, colleagues, people who'd become family over the years. And at the end of the aisle, under the oak tree, stood Ethan. He wore a navy suit, white shirt, simple, handsome. But it was his expression that made Naomi's heart soar, pure love, pure joy, like she was the only person in the world. She walked toward him, slowly, savoring every step. Henry stood at the end of the aisle, ready to walk her the final few feet. "You look beautiful," he whispered. "Thank you for healing my family. Thank you for believing in us." He took her arm, walked her to Ethan, placed her hand in his son's. "Take care of her," Henry said. "With my life," Ethan promised. The ceremony was simple, meaningful. They wrote their own vows. "I promise to choose you," Ethan said, "every single day, in big ways and small, in public and in private, for the rest of my life. I promise to be brave," Naomi said, "to trust, to hope, to build a life with you that honors both of us, and to never stop believing in second chances." They kissed as husband and wife. The guests cheered. At the reception, Henry gave a toast. "This young woman walked into our lives and changed everything. Our home is warmer now, our hearts are fuller, and our son is truly happy." He raised his glass. "To Naomi and Ethan, may your love continue to transform everyone it touches." Everyone drank, cheered, laughed. Tom gave a speech that made everyone cry. "I was wrong about you," he said to Naomi, "and I'm grateful you proved me wrong. You're the best thing that ever happened to this family." Leah caught the bouquet, winked at a groomsman. Mrs. Calloway, the neighbor who'd started all the gossip, clapped the loudest. "I knew it would work out," she declared to anyone who'd listen. As the sun set, Naomi and Ethan danced under the string lights. "Happy?" he asked. "Impossibly happy." "Good. That's the plan. Forever." She rested her head on his shoulder, closed her eyes. A year ago, she'd driven away from this house in tears, convinced love wasn't worth the fight, but she'd been wrong. Love was worth everything. The pain, the fear, the courage it took to hope again, all of it led to this moment, to this man, to this family, to home. Margaret watched them from across the lawn. Henry slipped his arm around her waist. "You did good," he said quietly. "We did good," she corrected. "She's good for him. He's good for her." Margaret smiled. "They're good for all of us." The music played. The guests laughed. The stars came out. And under the oak tree where she'd once sat with Henry, learning about bravery and love, Naomi and Ethan danced. Two people who'd almost lost each other, who'd fought through prejudice and fear and doubt, who'd chosen love even when it was hard, especially when it was hard, because the best things in life are worth fighting for. And as they swayed together under the darkening sky, surrounded by people who loved them, they both knew one thing for certain. This was just the beginning. The end